The amount of blind hatred towards Starfield over the last few months has been a very interesting thing to observe. It's the kind of thing that you'd expect from fanboys on one side or the other, the same way that any new first-party game or product is always going to be preemptively bashed by the people who decided to buy the opposite platform for one reason or another. And while I understand skepticism of all things, the amount of preemptive hatred and dismissal that Starfield has brought upon us is an entirely new level. Like, perhaps it's because Sony has been running circles around Microsoft for years on end when it comes to first-party game reception, which, yeah, that's what happens when your first-party output is almost exclusively Oscar bait, but I digress. Or perhaps it's because Microsoft is certainly the underdog this generation, largely due to their struggling presence in non-Western markets. But whatever the reason, there are some people doing absolutely everything they can to make sure everyone is aware of how much they think Starfield sucks, which is getting more awkward by the day as we get closer to the launch of the game and we see more material from Bethesda that makes it look even more appealing to millions of people. We've seen people dump on Starfield because of the main menu screen, because of the delays, because apparently polishing games is a bad thing if your name is Xbox, I guess. We've seen people dumping on the fact that Starfield literally isn't the #1 selling game on every sales chart of all time, even though it's literally not out yet, which I made a whole video about people saying that. Go watch that. It's stupid. But when all this is contained to social media, it's easy to write it all off as people just clout chasing or people just desperately trying to justify their decision to blindly hate everything with an Xbox logo on it. But when this mindset hops over to the world of what's supposed to be actual journalism, it gets extra depressing. Today's article is from Rock Paper Shotgun, one of the many outlets that has maintained its spot near the top of the gaming journalism totem pole for like a decade now without ever providing anything worthy of positive attention. Seriously, what is the deal with complete garbage gaming news outlets remaining like the biggest names in the industry despite being consistently terrible? Like, genuinely, why does the free market not seem to apply to sites like Kotaku and The Gamer and Rock Paper Shotgun? Like, seriously, who the fuck is paying the bills over there? Because it's not gamers. But anyways, this article was sent to me by a few viewers, and I'm sure some of you have seen the headline floating around, and at first glance, I was actually pretty unbothered by the headline. I kind of just figured it was another fence-sitting skeptic article, but like with a juicy title to get the clicks. But then I read the fucking thing, and yeah, it's terrible. Like, way worse than I thought it would be. So strap in, dear viewer, because we're about to see an actual games journalist for an actual game journalism website try to make a definitive judgment on Starfield based solely on the trailer. Games journalism. Not even once. If you're keenly awaiting next month's launch of Starfield, Bethesda's new open-world sci-fi RPG, you can skip the new trailer. It's one of those live-action affairs with CG up the wazoo, complete with an epic cover of Elton John's Rocket Man that would bring a tear to the eye of Zack Snyder and only Zack Snyder. It does not show the game at all, nor does it capture the thrill of escaping our earthly bonds to get a load of gray rocks just like we have at home. But you can watch the trailer below. God, this just screams, look at me, I'm not impressed by Starfield. Like, yeah, of course the live-action trailer didn't show the game, you doofus. What were you expecting? Billboards don't show gameplay either. Should we stop doing those? Like, yeah, it's annoying when game trailers don't show gameplay. I agree. But as a games journalist, you should be aware of the fact that not every piece of marketing is going to be entirely gameplay, and on top of that, it's not like Bethesda's been hiding Starfield gameplay. They literally did a 45-minute gameplay demonstration like 2 months ago, and there's been more and more shown off since then. Like, genuinely, what do you want from them? God forbid they just have some fun and do a live-action trailer to get people excited. The article continues, "This is not Starfield, and you can be sure that not a single quest in Starfield will inspire a fraction of the emotion that mawkish thing did." Well, it sounds like you fucking hated that mawkish thing, so isn't it a good thing that the game won't evoke the same emotion? You fucking amateur, am I really doing your writing for you here? Like, you can't be like, ugh, that trailer was terrible, I hated it, and then also complain that the game won't be like that or evoke the same emotions. That's fucking stupid. As a huge fan of walking simulators where you explore vast... Why is this paragraph so long? Like, look how long this paragraph is. This could be like at least two different paragraphs where you just Were you just text to speaking while you were taking a shit? What is this? Ugh, okay, anyways. As a huge fan of walking simulators where you explore vast alien worlds and get lost in alien cities and walk across the surface of a comet and witness apocalypses and that's all you do, Starfield looks so boring to me. You realize that's not how you list things in a sentence, right? Like, you're aware that commas exist. Why was the word "and" like 5 million times in one sentence? Again, you fucking amateur. I would rather have no formal tasks than Bethesda's customary endless boring tasks. Oh, Starfield's gonna be full of endless boring tasks. Good to know. I mean, I didn't know that because the game isn't out yet. But sure, you tell us what's in the game you haven't played. That's a great thing for a journalist to do. I'm sure this will get you in a ton of publishers' good graces. A handful of good quests and interesting NPCs and pretty places can never redeem the huge amount of tedium and busy work and uninteresting systems. Again, with how many times can you use the word "and"? You know commas exist. The boring stuff is not a neutral presence. It makes the game worse by wasting time and burying the few good bits. The few good bits. Yeah, so you genuinely are reviewing the game here based on nothing. Wow, this is a new low. I understand that a colossal quantity of boring stuff will still inspire wonder because wow, it's amazing. I can't believe they put something boring over every hill and every corner, but I do not find that remotely satisfying. Still, I look forward to all the mods people will make to add interesting, personal, silly, and monstrously sexual things to Bethesda's gray sandbox. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. This article, if you can even call it that, by the way, is written by the associate editor, by the way. The associate editor is passing judgment on Starfield based on the live action trailer and what I'm guessing are just random things they've heard about it on Twitter. Because, I mean, they're doing the classic, like, ooh, I love sci-fi exploration games, but Starfield sci-fi exploration is bad because reasons. All the while forgetting that this is a fucking RPG. Like, I don't know how many times this has to be said. This isn't No Man's Sky with a bigger budget. It's an RPG set in space. And because it's set in space, obviously there's going to be a lot of exploration and solo traversal time because it's in space. Anyways, let's conclude this piece of shit. Sorry, I don't really write news posts anymore, so I've had a lot of this bottled up. Starfield launches on the 6th of September on Windows and Xbox Series XS. Are you kidding me, associate editor? It'll cost $60 on Steam and will also be covered by Game Pass subscriptions, because those are the only ways to access it. Trust me, I'm the editor. I think my favorite part about this article is the fact that the writer came back afterwards to make an edit down below at the bottom. Like, look at this, they came back and they made an edit to the article to make sure that everyone knows the Zack Snyder joke they made earlier. They wrote that before the trailer for the new Zack Snyder movie came out, because that's what needed to be edited here. That's the thing that was making the article shitty. I also just love how short this article is. Like, the article is completely over now. You know, like, it's short as hell, it's pointless as hell, it's in some places just wrong as hell, and the clown who wrote it obviously only wrote it so they could take cheap shots at Starfield while everyone else on social media is doing that, which is just a pathetic mindset to have for an actual games journalist. Like, you guys are supposed to be better than this. You're supposed to be the ones that people come to for professional input and opinion and observation. When game journalists engage in the nonsense blind bashing of upcoming games for no discernible reason, it just makes the entire profession look bad. If you could even believe that games journalism could look worse in the current year. God, this is fucking awful. This is fucking awful. I really don't know why people are so eager to shit on Starfield, but the fact that people are doing it on the clock is just pathetic. Genuinely, why are you in this business if you hate video games so much? And how did you become the associate editor when you so blatantly don't even want to do the work an intern could do? Anyways, toodles.